Welcome to Bored and Nerdy. My name's Chris, and that's my brother Corey. You might know me as MonkeyC2003 on Instagram or TikTok now. And we are going to be discussing Power Rangers. Is it Once and Always, right?
Once and always.
All right, I can't remember if it's Once and Always or Never or what.
It's
Uh,
it's once and always.
what does that mean, Once and Always?
Well, you see, once they were Power Rangers, and now they are always Power Rangers.
All right, well, I guess I'm just the odd one out because I was complaining to Kayla about how the title doesn't make any sense to me. Because I'm like, once and always what? Like, what happened in time? Like, is it about time travel? And she's like, because they were Power Rangers and they'll always be Power Rangers. And I'm like, okay. So anyway, you've just confirmed that. Yeah, I'm the odd one out there.
Or are you the overly analytical one? Because, spoilers, it is about some time travel.
It is really interesting in this how they explore like the Power Rangers later in their lives. What is your take on this? Because I personally like that they constructed it like it was an old episode and it's got all the, let's say, bad acting.
Oh, if it had good acting, I would have been upset.
Totally. I'm in the same boat. But like my kids were watching it with me and I got comments from all three of them about how cheesy the acting was and about how bad the effects were.
You just need to go and play them that Ooze movie, and they'll really get to see what cheesy effects are.
Right, because that was when CG was first happening when the Power Rangers movie came out. And so they went all in on the CG in that. And so like all the Zords and Megazords were CG. And I remember seeing it in the theater and I remember thinking it looked amazing. And it does not hold up. And anyway, the CG in this one looks better.
Looks better, but there's definitely a significant amount of obviously fake. Like there wasn't much effort in terms of like making the Zord or the Megazord or the monsters seem like they were in any way practical. And so I'm talking like climax of the whole episode. But
we're kind of discussing it backwards, but
we are. But you jump to the graphics, and that's really the big
the big showcase is the big Megazord on the moon at the end.
And so they definitely did a solid tribute to the old way. Like you got the Zords charging across the landscape. You got them combining, which honestly looked like video game graphics. And so as soon as the Megazord showed up, I was imagining some Mortal Kombat style Rock'em Sock'em video game.
I think it's the same thing as Yoda in the prequels, where they have their George Lucas or the creator or whoever's saying, it needs to look more like it's a puppet. So I think that whoever was producing the Power Rangers Once and Never was going, no, it needs to look like what it looked like in the old 90s show. It needs to look like a cardboard box robot, and it needs to look like a plastic little toy, or however they shot the Megazords back in the 90s.
It was a dude wearing a suit. Yeah, you had very obviously people wearing costumes, punching each other, or standing over miniature towns or mountains. And now it's so very clearly not somebody in a suit. It is just some 3D rendition. And you've even got like prequel whips and flips.
I think that the monster might have been a person in a suit, though. I'm pretty sure it was, because like I remember thinking you could kind of see the difference or the weirdness when they were interacting, the CG Megazord and the big monster on the moon.
Okay, I definitely thought they were people in suits when they were small, but once it got larger, I thought that it started looking a little easier, which made me think that They had just gone straight for the 3D.
But hey, let's rewind to the beginning of the show, and basically the whole movie sits on Billy. I mean, Billy's kind of the main character, wouldn't you say?
I would absolutely say, and I think that the producers own that, and that when you look at the poster for the movie, he was definitely fairly front and center, at least on one that I saw. Now that I'm looking at the Netflix one,
It's because they needed an original Power Ranger to market it to us, and they decided on what they got two people back, right? Did they get more than
Billy and Zach?
Yeah, Billy and Zach, and then the Pink Rangers from a different Power Rangers show, and
the red ones from So
and the red ones from a different show too.
And then the two space patrol whatever ones are from a future show as well, which I need to confess, I was only a Mighty Morphin fan. I don't think I actually watched anything beyond the original Rangers. Like, I remember something coming out with dinosaurs or something like that, like on their suits, or ninjas, or both.
Same. I only
and
watched the original and then the movie.
But that one I did end up Googling after watching it, because it was that, okay, I want to know who I just saw, because obviously they brought in a Red Ranger and a Pink Ranger and so on. But the reason that they chose these actors was that there was actually overlap, and their characters did already meet or something like that.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Which,
I didn't know that.
Disclaimer here, I read a single 2-paragraph article, so this was not extensive research.
Everything on the internet is true, so you don't got to worry about that.
If it was a Wikipedia page, I might have believed it more. But yeah, so it was pretty cool, and it was limited on who they brought in, and I really expected that to be the big thing that kind of chafed while I was watching it, because there's other actors out there that are around, and they have done huge team up episodes in the past, and so it's kind of that, like, okay, why is it just these few actors? And I think that they did that part well, and of course I'm talking about the Robo Rita's plan of turning everybody into their action figures to steal their powers.
I loved that. I absolutely loved that.
I love that. I was smiling.
I laughed so hard, like it not necessarily in a making fun of it way, but because it's cheesy as hell. From the very beginning, because like the first scene after the action scene is like this really melodramatic, like 90s soap opera, them talking about how the Yellow Ranger's dead, and so they right off the bat are like, hey, don't take this too seriously. like don't take this too seriously.
We need to tell her.
Yeah, no, that scene, it just kind of sets the, like, hey, don't take this too seriously. And so then when the monsters are turning them into action figures, it filled me with joy.
It was delightful, and it was such a convenient way to be like, of course those other actors won't be in this show. They're toys right now.
I thought it was brilliant too. But then also, I mean, again, to jump to the end of the movie, they do acknowledge all the other Power Rangers at the end in like a little photo montage.
Which, gotta say, that was the most emotional part of the movie for me, where it was like,
yeah, it was pretty
sweet. They brought it back to the original. How cute is that? And on that topic, like, of course, a huge part of this movie felt like it was, a tribute to our original Yellow Ranger. And then, of course, the Green Ranger included there. And so the movie script definitely felt like it acknowledged the passing of Prang. I don't know how to say her first name, so I'm sorry, Yellow Ranger fans. I failed you here. Um, but and then you've also got Jason David Frank, who also passed, but the movie definitely focused on the Yellow Ranger side of it, like they made it part
Yeah.
of the narrative, which I thought was an interesting take.
It makes sense that you would utilize that one of them to focus on, and that they've passed. But you can't do it so many times. Like it gets depressing if you do it too many times. So I do think that it made sense that they were all turned into action figures.
And it worked really well. As said, I thought I was instantly just okay with the other actors not being there because they were toys.
So the whole thing is that Zach's character, the Black Ranger, is hanging out with Yellow Ranger's kid and basically takes her in, and she wants to become a Power Ranger. And I honestly think out of everyone in this movie, the Zach Taylor character, the actor here, it says is Walter Jones. He's like the only person in this whole movie that can act. Like, he was the only one that I bought their performance. Everyone else, I was like, yeah, it's that person. All right, yeah, you're in a TV movie.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And you gotta hand it to the dude. He can still do his hip hop keto or hip hop kung fu or what. Yeah, he could still do his moves. And it was really entertaining seeing him become that character again. Billy, he sounds like Billy. He says things
Billy
that
is
Billy
the
should say.
second. He's the second.
He is more robotic, which is
Yes,
in
there you
character.
go.
He's the Spockish character.
I was gonna say Anakin.
Oh, okay. Well, he was Spock, directed by George Lucas.
More wood and Spock. Emotionless, remember.
The constant emotional 90s like head shakes and eyes shift down. Like that was definitely their go-tos. And so I'm curious how much these guys have actually been acting since Power Rangers. I haven't kept up with their careers at all. And so it's that, like, I wonder if, these guys have just been sitting around enjoying their lives. And
I
it's
think
like,
that's
hey,
the case.
you want to be an actor again?
I think that's the case.
Sure.
Netflix is like, hey, money.
Which is interesting that it worked, because I do know, behind the scenes that Blue Ranger actor David Yost, he had a lot of hard times with the production behind the scenes. And so I think
this one or of the TV show?
TV show.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, did you look into any of their lives at all?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In fact, they all got a real shit deal on the TV show.
Agreed. But he, went through all kinds of things of claiming that, he was discriminated against for his sexuality. And so from the little bit that I knew behind the scenes, it like led to nervous breakdowns and all kinds of issues. And so I kind of expected him to just be completely divorced from the franchise, one of those like, nope, I'm done with you. And so when they announced that he was coming back, it was that kind of interesting. Oh, really? They got him to come back? Cool. And so that kind of put it into a different perspective, where I had, of course, assumed that he had an issue with the franchise because of all that behind the scenes stuff. But it makes my elementary school self happy that he still has heart for the franchise enough to come back for this.
Yeah, and I think a factor in it too is, like you mentioned, like how much work have these guys had and what have they done acting wise. And if it's a passion of theirs and someone's saying, hey, you want to be in a TV show, and they're like, and we'll make you the main character, like I could see him agreeing to that. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I could be the main character in a TV movie.
Absolutely. I still really love that he is named Billy Cranston, after our good friend Hal, the father in Malcolm in the Middle. Bryan Cranston, he was named after him because he did he directed an episode or something really early on in the
Oh,
show.
no kidding.
And so it's like literally named after Bryan Cranston.
Oh, that's
Uh,
cool. Basically, Billy's the main character because he's the one who caused the tragedy that like started this series of events. It was something about, I guess, in the TV show, uh, the evil witch Rita. Rita had been defeated by sacrificing Zordon, but then in this movie, Billy's like, "Oh, I can bring Zordon back," but then, of course, brings back the evil Rita as well. And
yeah, because you can't separate those space particles.
apparently, yeah, apparently you can't space particles. And so then it starts this chain of events that gets the Yellow Ranger killed.
Once and always. Once you're a ranger, you're always a ranger. Whereas in my, child brain and seeing other actors get replaced and so on and so on, I guess I always just assumed that Power Rangers kind of stayed young. The whole premise was teenagers with attitude.
Oh yeah, it's got to be the new young generation. Yeah,
And so
I think that was
seeing
cool though.
wrinkly old guys
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like being a mom's almost as tough as being a ranger, like little comments like that where it was this like, okay, so we got these 40 something year old people that have replaced the teenagers with attitude, but we had our teenager with attitude in the movie, so it was fine. But
Yeah, that I guess that makes sense why they would focus on one of the children of one of the Power Rangers.
you needed the teenage angst in the movie. You
Yeah, it had
absolutely
plenty of
did.
that, and it was cheesy as always.
Do this one thing that I'm telling you to do. Leave scene. Kid disobeys. Hit repeat.
The angsty, rebellious teenager goes to the youth center for some reason. I guess because it's like an iconic place.
She's got her training montage, right?
Yeah.
And then she gets an alert on her phone that shows her a news report because teenagers always have local news immediate notifications on their phones.
Oh, okay.
And
So she was like, "I've got to rescue the youth center."
yeah, she sees
Okay.
the putty soldiers beating up people in the youth center, and so she goes like, "Okay, this is my moment," and she goes and gets the Yellow Ranger morpher and goes directly to the youth center and says like, "Everyone leave! I've got this!" And then has her awesome moment where she tries to morph and it doesn't work.
Yeah, several times in this movie, actually.
That one was wonderful.
I like the weird snake monster that turns people into action figures. And then what was the other monster again? There was
Minotaur.
two. Oh, okay, the Minotaur, yeah.
Yeah,
And the
Robo
snake monster is the
Minotaur.
one that gets stuck to a magnet.
Lizard. They both did.
Oh, okay, they both got stuck to it. I was trying to remember
Yeah,
how the other one
they
got
went to the
defeated.
junkyard and they
so
pulled them up
stupid.
onto a giant. Well, they're Robo Lizard and Robo Minotaur, so.
No, I'm just saying that it's a Scooby-Doo solution to your problem.
But it didn't even solve their problem. They had to actually fight him. And I mean, Minotaur didn't get defeated until Red Ranger literally impaled him on his sword. Rita got impaled by his spear. And Lizard got just like annihilated by a backhanded whip of the Mega Sword. And so the violence was modern.
Yeah, it looked great. I was entertained. I was entertained the whole time. Like it was just the right amount of cheese, in my personal opinion. And I really liked that the Minotaur and the snake robot lizard man. I guess they were all three robots.
Yep.
Anyway, I liked the way they were guys in suits, and it added some fidelity to it, and it was fun. It was fun. They need to. CG isn't always the answer, and I realized this was supposed to be camp, but it looked good for being camp.
Absolutely. And I loved that even the monsters were throwbacks, because the Minotaur and Lizard were two of the earlier monsters that they
Oh,
fight
okay.
in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So they chose appropriate monsters. They brought it back to Rita. And they even, explained why she's a robot by taking over Alpha 8, right? Um,
Oh yeah, right. Because she took that robot body and then made a Rita robot body that they could later rip the face off and make her even creepier.
Creepier. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Just the premise is genius. I just have to say, like, it's genius.
and they even had the perfect little excuse to make the actors not be hidden in the suits the whole time. The Minotaur is tracking your powers, so you need to power down and be a normal looking dude so that the bad guys can't chase you and we get to see your face on screen. I do think that things like the youth center callback are pretty perfectly done. It gets you in familiar sets. In the kind of the same way that when we see the Bulk and Skull poster, that they crash through that. That's perfect. Where
Yeah,
it's a
there's a
little
lot of good
nod.
little nostalgia. Yeah, nods and winks. They played it really well there, and not everything does.
The one that I had to look up was the Tombstone. Did you catch that one?
Tombstone.
Yeah, there's a fight in a graveyard, and it
Okay.
focused on the tombstones. And so the second one that it goes to is Trini, but you had the camera focused on a different name first, and I forget when that was in the movie to read the actual name to
It
you.
Oh, it's the graveyard I believe is way at the beginning. It's
Oh yeah, I was way too far ahead. But yeah, they fight next to a bunch of graves, and we get to see a name on it's like Harvey Gravy or something like that.
yeah.
Um, and that's another little tribute because it lingered on screen just long enough that I knew it had to be somebody.
Who
And
was it?
apparently, he was in, I want to say, season 2 as a like TV host that got the Power Rangers on their first live TV um, little show up. And so it was the actor or the character was the Harvey Gravy, but
Oh, okay. So they're implying the reporter was deceased.
that character was deceased, but Harvey Gravy's actor was a voice actor for a lot of different characters throughout
Oh,
Power
interesting.
Rangers, and so it's like a multi-layered little reference there, and so I thought it was cool, but it was definitely one of those that once again I'm not a Power Rangers scholar, and so it was that like, okay, I know this is a reference. What am I looking at here? And so had to Google that one.
Pretty much at this stage in the plot. So, or in this stage along the movie's timeline, uh, they've debilitated the two monsters, and then they end up going to the moon. But then the other monsters got out, the robot Minotaur and robot snake thing, and they go to the moon because they're all trying to disable this Rita's weird little time machine because she's going to go back and like superpower her original self or something.
No, they took the Reddit question. If you could go back in time 30 years and tell yourself anything, what would you say? And that's what the whole thing of this movie is. Rita wants to go back in time to her younger, beautiful self and tell her 30 years of knowledge. And
I
her
thought she was
whole
going to
thing's
like Palpatine her body over or something.
no, she just wants to tell her everything and be like, "Hey, here's what you need to know." And then she even, went dark with, "And
That's
then we're
pretty
gonna
dumb.
kill all of you teenagers in your sleep before you become Power Rangers." I do think an important thing to bring up that this movie did that wasn't a '90s move was we had the kid escape from hanging out with Alpha 9 after being told to stay, and she went to the graveyard, or not the graveyard, the junkyard for vengeance. Like, she's all about I want to kill people, and I want to beat them down, I want to destroy them. And Zach's even like, hey, this is why you're not becoming a Power Ranger. That's vengeance, and vengeance is bad for your soul and all this stuff. But she goes to this junkyard ready to do what is necessary. And then it is not the teenager that set the monsters free. Robo Rita was already there, so they were going to get free anyways, and she became a hostage. But it wasn't that like 90s, oh no, I set the monsters free by doing exactly what you told me not to do. I'm lame. No, she just became a hostage, which is, lame, but it's not the sabotage your team at the same time by releasing the monster that they captured version.
I'm looking at the fight scene on the moon with the Megazord, and I'm pretty sure the monster is just a guy in a rubber suit, and the Megazord is a CG thing. But you've made me doubt myself now.
I don't know. Watch while the lizard's like jumping in the air and getting punched into the ground. That doesn't look like a dude in a suit to me. We're talking like 44 minutes in, 44 and a half.
Yeah, okay.
That looks CG through and through to me.
The Megazord is definitely CG. Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, I suppose it is CG. Yeah, I think you're right. So it's just that it's bad CG, and so they don't quite look like they're interacting properly.
Which is why, in my book, it's Mortal Kombat Power Ranger style.
I think that they should have just done a guy in a suit and another guy in a suit on a big miniaturized moon set.
Oh, I would have loved that. But I don't know if the guy in the suit could have done a prequels.
Oh, okay, yeah, they wanted all the prequel flips and stuff. That's right.
Rita does her, I'm going to kill you blast, and yet again, Billy gets saved by someone jumping in front of the blast, and this time it's Trini's daughter, Min, and so instead of dying, she gets like the little eyeball Yellow Ranger memory flashbacks, and that's how she unlocks her powers. What'd you think of her sacrifice and power unlock? Do you think that was a 90s move or a new move, or how'd you take that?
We got more Power Rangers in our Megazord. What are we gonna do? Oh, what if Rita like shoots and then the kid gets in the way and it like makes her a Power Ranger? I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't have to make sense.
Of course it makes sense. It's the superhero thing, right? Self-sacrifice is the...
Oh, okay. I thought it was a memory beam.
No, it was a death ray, but it looks like the death ray hit the morpher that she had in her jacket pocket, and so then it's all glowing yellow, and you can see that that's where it hit because her jacket's now a little bit hurt. Whereas when it hit Trini, she like was obliterated and turned into dust. This time it just ruffled up her, zip up jacket, and then she can morph.
I guess I just thought it was a memory beam.
What kind of evil robot wizard would shoot the teenager with a memory beam? Think about your mother. Zap.
I will just make her really sad.
I mean, that could work.
I loved that the movie ends with them all at the youth center, like getting drinks, like getting a snack. It was very much like, oh, hey, this episode is over. I wonder what will happen next episode.
And it was, once again, a beautiful reference because they say the whole, like, do you want smoothies? I wonder if they still have Ernie's recipe. Because Ernie was the guy that was, always behind the counter. And so it's like, we're just going to name drop this guy.
No, I like that they acknowledged a lot of the key components of the old show and key contributors of the old show, and acknowledge some of the characters and people who've passed and stuff. Like, I thought that was pretty cool. And like we said earlier, the end, how it's all like a little photo slideshow where they acknowledge a bunch of people. I thought that was sweet. I definitely finished watching it having enjoyed it more than I expected to, while at the same time having this weird, like, I just watched so much cheese feeling. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I also had to pause it a few times because randomly decided to watch it tonight because my family was out playing at a park, and it was that, okay, I have the house to myself. I'm going to do it. It's not that long. I'm going to watch it. And then literally 2 minutes into it, my family came home. And so hit pause. And then like 20 minutes later, hit resume. Made it like 20 minutes, had to go and do family things. And then the last half of the movie, um, I had my wife chasing my 3-year-old around the house while carrying the 4-month-old, and they're like giggling and screaming, playing tag. And so at one point, I had to hold the baby, and so it was paused right when the Megazords got the lightning crashing behind it because it just combined. And so I had all these really interestingly timed pauses and interruptions where it's like, man, if this was even slightly serious, I would be annoyed that I'm having to not pay attention to this. But this is so easy and straightforward that I don't feel like I missed anything. But it was entirely enjoyable the entire time, which I thought was wonderful because with something like this, you're either going to be overrun with the cheese or it's going to be trying too hard to be this new serious thing, which I think that the Power Rangers reboot movie may have suffered from. It was trying to take itself very seriously.
Yeah, that's one of
Whereas,
the reasons I didn't ever go see it, is because, in the trailers and stuff, it's just like, I don't really need a gritty Power Rangers. No, I think this was the smart idea, is just bring back some of the original actors for just pure nostalgia bait, and it'll be entertaining enough to explore the idea of those same characters, but way older.
and it's great excuse to get these guys back on like the Comic-Con circuits with new headshots to get signed, fresh fresh blood. It'll be great. Fresh old blood, once and always. It'll be great. But for the record, if you're ever bored, the new Power Rangers movie is not terrible. There are some weird decisions, but it's still a cheesy Power Rangers thing.
Yeah, I would say asterisk if you never watched the original Power Rangers cartoon, or if you never watched the original Power Rangers series, you're probably not going to get this.
Yeah, no, this has to be one of the worst hours of television for someone that did not grow up on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, or for some reason become a really big fan of it, later in life. You needed to be a season 1 fan.
Absolutely, or at least have been familiar enough with it. Like, oh, hey, my kids were into Power Rangers. I think you could enjoy it.
Yeah, you needed to be able to recognize that it was the original Billy and
Yeah,
Zach.
what it was back then, because that's really what this is trying to do. Is it's trying to be that again, and I think overall it succeeded. But reactions to this online are extremely split. Like, people either love it or they hate it.
Which is fair.
Yeah, I agree. I half expected you to hate it.
Dude, I love cheesy shit.
Nice. Because I loved it. I'm
I
like, I wonder if Corey will like this or hate this. And so that's why I was like, hey, the next time we do a podcast, we need to do it on Once and Never.
keep in mind, I still randomly play season 1 episodes of Power Rangers.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, I enjoy it for the nostalgia trip. Like when Aslan came to visit me in Korea, she was that like 16-year-old that didn't want to do anything. And so, being the terrible host that I was, I'd tell her until she told me what she wanted to do, I was going to turn Power Rangers on and make her watch it. And you know what? We made it through like half an episode before she had a really good idea each day.
Hey, thanks for listening. We're not sure what we'll do next time, but this was a lot more fun than the Matrix 4. Ugh, that was painful. You can follow me on Instagram. I'm MonkeyC2003, also on TikTok. Please leave a like on this video if you haven't already and consider subscribing to us. We'll be back for more stuff, I promise.